The only way to steal from a pauper who owns nothing is to rob him of his dignity by refusing to return his greeting. Along the same lines, Rabbi Yohanan said in the name of Rabbi Yosei, "From where is it derived that the Holy One, blessed be He, prays? As it is stated, I will bring them to my holy mountain and make them joyful in the house of my prayer." Isaiah 56:7. The verse does not say the house of their prayer, but rather the house of my prayer. From here we see that the Holy One, blessed be He, prays. The Gemara asks, what does God pray? To whom does God pray? Rav Zutra Bar Tovia said that Rav said, God says, may it be my will that my mercy will overcome my anger towards Israel for their transgressions. And may my mercy prevail over my other attributes through which Israel is punished. And may I conduct myself toward my children, Israel, with the attribute of mercy. And may I enter before them beyond the letter of the law. Similarly, it was taught in a Bereta that Rabbi Yishmael ben Elisha, the high priest, said, once on Yom Kippur I entered the innermost sanctum, the Holy of Holies, to offer incense. And in a vision I saw Akatriel Yah, the Lord of hosts, one of the names of God, expressing his ultimate authority, seated upon a high and exalted throne. See Isaiah 6. And he said to me, Yishmael, my son, bless me. And I said to him, the prayer that God says, may it be your will that your mercy overcome your anger, and may your mercy prevail over your other attributes. And may you act toward your children with the attributes of mercy, and may you enter before them beyond the letter of the law. The Holy One, blessed be He, nodded his head and accepted the blessing. This event teaches us that you should not take the blessing of an ordinary person lightly. If God asked for and accepted a man's blessing, all the more so that a man must value the blessing of another man. And Rabbi Yohanan said in the name of Rabbi Yosei, from where is it derived that one must not placate a person while he's in the throes of his anger? While he is in the throes of his anger. Rather, he should mollify him after he has calmed down. As it is written, when following the sin of the golden calf, Moses requested that the divine presence rest upon Israel as it had previously. God said to him, my face will go, and I will give you rest. Exodus 33:14. Rabbi Yohanan explained, the Holy One, blessed be He, said to Moses, wait until my face of wrath will pass, and I will grant your request. One must wait for a person's anger to pass as well. The Gemara asks, and is there anger before the Holy One? Blessed be He. Can we speak of God using terms like anger? The Gemara answers, yes, as it was taught in a Bereta, God becomes angry. As it is stated, God vindicates the righteous. God is furious every day. Psalms 7:12. How much time does His anger last? God's anger lasts a moment. And how long is a moment? 158,888 of an hour, That is a moment. The Gemara adds, and no creature can precisely determine that moment when God becomes angry, except for Balaam, the wicked, about whom it is written, he who knows the knowledge of the Most High. Numbers 24:16. This should not be understood to mean that Balaam was a full-fledged prophet. Now clearly Balaam did not know the mind of his animal, and he did know the mind of the Most High. If he could not understand the rebuke of his donkey, he was certainly unable to understand the mind of the Most High. Rather, this verse from Numbers teaches that Balaam was able to precisely determine the hour that the Holy One, blessed be He, is angry. At that moment, Balaam would utter his curse, and through God's anger, it would be fulfilled. And that is what the prophet said to Israel, my nation, remember what Balak, king of Moab, advised, and how Balaam, son of Beor, responded from Shittim to Gilgal, so that you may know the righteous acts of the Lord. Micah 6:5. What is meant by the statement, so that you may know the righteous acts of the Lord? Rabbi Elazar said that the Holy One, blessed be He, said to Israel, know how many acts of kindness I performed on your behalf, that I did not become angry during the days of Balaam the wicked. For had I become angry, there would have been no remnant or survivor remaining among the enemies of Israel. A euphemism for Israel itself. Instead, God restrained his anger, and Balaam's curse was unfulfilled. And that is what Balaam said to Balak. How can I curse whom God has not cursed? And how can I condemn whom God has not condemned? Numbers 23:8. This verse teaches that all those days God was not angry. And how long does his anger last? God's anger lasts a moment. And how long is a moment? Rabbi Avin, and some say Rabbi Avina, said, a moment lasts as long as it takes to say it. Rega. From where do we derive that God is only angry for a moment? As it is stated, his anger is but for a moment, his favor for a lifetime. Psalms 30:6. And if you wish, say instead from here, as it is stated, hide yourself for a brief moment until the anger passes. Isaiah 26:20, meaning that God's anger passes in a mere moment. The Gemara asks, when is the Holy One, blessed be He, angry? Abai said, God's anger is revealed through animals during the first 3 hours of the day, when the sun whitens the crest of the rooster and it stands on one leg, when it appears that its life has left him and he suddenly turns white, that is when God is angry. The Gemara asks, the rooster also stands that way every hour. What kind of sign is this? The Gemara answers, the difference is that every other hour, when the rooster stands in that way, there are red streaks in his crest. But when God is angry, there are no red streaks in his crest. The Gemara relates, a certain heretic who was in Rabbi Yehashua ben Levi's neighborhood would upset him by incessantly challenging the legitimacy of verses. One day, Rabbi Yehashua ben Levi took a rooster and placed it between the legs of the bed upon which he sat, and looked at it. He thought, when the moment of God's anger arrives, I will curse him and be rid of him. When the moment of God's anger arrived, Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi slept. When he woke up, he said to himself, conclude from the fact that I nodded off that it is not proper conduct to do so, to curse people even if they are wicked. His mercy is over all creations. Psalms 145:9 is written even with regard to sinners. Moreover, it is inappropriate to cause the punishment of another, as it is written, punishment even for the righteous is not good. Proverbs 17:26. Even for a righteous person, it is improper to punish another. Explaining the cause of God's anger, it is taught in the name of Rabbi Meir, when the sun rises and the kings of the east and the west place their crowns on their heads and bow down to the sun, the Holy One, blessed be he, immediately grows angry. Since this occurs in the early hours every day, God becomes angry at his world at that moment every day. And Rabbi Yohanan said in the name of Rabbi Yosei, a single regret or pang of guilt in one's heart is preferable to many lashes administered by others that cause only physical pain. As it is stated, and she chases her lovers, but she does not overtake them. She seeks them, but she will not find them. And she will say, I will go and return to my first husband, for it was better for me then than now. Hosea 2:9. Remorse is more effective than any externally imposed punishment listed in the verses that follow. Hosea 2:11-19. And Reish Lakish said that in the Bible it seems that such remorse is preferable to 100 lashes. As it is stated, a rebuke enters deeper into a man of understanding than 100 lashes to a fool. Proverbs 17:10. And Rabbi Yohanan said in the name of Rabbi Yosei, regarding Moses' request that the divine presence rest upon Israel as it once had, Moses requested 3 things from the Holy One, blessed be he, at that time, all of which were granted him. He requested that the divine presence rest upon Israel and not leave. And he granted it to him, as it is stated, for how can it be known that I have found grace in your sight, I and your people? Is it not in that you go with us, so that we are distinguished, I and your people, from all the people that are on the face of the earth? Exodus 33:16. The request, is it not in that you go with us, refers to the resting of the divine presence upon Israel. Moses requested that the divine presence not rest upon the nations of the world, and he granted it to him, as it is stated, so that we are distinguished, I and your people, from all the people on the face of the earth. Exodus 33:16. Lastly, Moses requested that the ways in which God conducts the world be revealed to him, and he granted it to him, as it is stated, show me your ways, and I will know you. Exodus 33:13. Moses said before God, Master of the universe, why is it that the righteous prosper, the righteous suffer, the wicked prosper, the wicked suffer. God said to him, Moses, the righteous person who prospers is a righteous person, the son of a righteous person who is rewarded for the actions of his ancestors. The righteous person who suffers is a righteous person, the son of a wicked person who is punished for the transgressions of his ancestors. The wicked person who prospers is a wicked person, the son of a righteous person who is rewarded for the actions of his ancestors. The wicked person who suffers is a wicked person, the son of a wicked person, who is punished for the transgressions of his ancestors. The Gemara expands upon these righteous and wicked individuals. The Master said, the righteous person who prospers is a righteous person, the son of a righteous person. The righteous person who suffers is a righteous person, the son of a wicked person. The Gemara asks, is it so that one is always punished for his ancestors' transgressions? Isn't it written, he visits iniquity of the fathers upon the children, and upon the children's children unto the third and fourth generations? Exodus 34:7. And it is written elsewhere, fathers shall not die for their children, and children shall not be put to death for the fathers. Every man shall die for his own transgression. Deuteronomy 24:16. And the Gemara raises a contradiction between the two verses. The Gemara resolves the contradiction. This is not difficult. This verse from Exodus, which states that God punishes descendants for the transgressions of their ancestors, refers to a case where they adopt the actions of their ancestors as their own, while this verse from Deuteronomy, which states that descendants are not punished for the actions of their ancestors, refers to a case where they do not adopt the actions of their ancestors as their own. As it is stated, I visit iniquity of the fathers upon the children and upon the third and fourth generations of my enemies. Exodus 25, verse 5. Exodus 20, verse 5. A righteous person is clearly not punished for the transgressions of his ancestors. Rather, it must be that God said to Moses as follows, the righteous person who prospers is a completely righteous person, whose actions are entirely good, and whose reward is entirely good, both in this world and in the world to come. The righteous person who suffers is one who is not a completely righteous person, because he does have some transgressions. He is punished in this world so that he will receive a complete reward in the world to come. The wicked person who prospers is one who is not a completely wicked person. God rewards him in this world for the good deeds that he performed, so that he will receive a complete punishment in the world to come. Finally, the wicked person who suffers is a completely wicked person. Since he performed absolutely no mitzvot and deserves no reward, he receives only punishment both in this world and in the world to come. Maharsha. Rabbi Yohanan's opinion that God granted Moses all three of his requests disagrees with that of Rabbi Meir. As Rabbi Meir said, 2 of Moses' requests were granted to him, and 1 was not granted to him. God granted him that the divine presence would rest upon Israel and not leave, and that the divine presence would not rest upon the nations of the world. But God did not reveal to Moses the ways in which he conducts the world. As it is said, "And I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious." Exodus 33:19. In his mercy, God bestows his grace upon every person, even though he is not worthy. Similarly, God says, "And I will have mercy upon whom I will have mercy," even though he is not worthy. According to Rabbi Meir, the way in which God conducts the world and bestows grace and mercy was not revealed even to Moses. The Gemara continues to cite the sage's explanation of verses that require clarification on the same topic. With regard to God's statement to Moses, "And he said, 'You cannot see my face, for man shall not see me and live.'" Exodus 33:20. It was taught in the name of Rabbi Yeshua ben Korha that the Holy One, blessed be he, said to Moses as follows, "When I wanted to show you my glory at the burning bush, you did not want to see it, as it is stated, and Moses concealed his face, fearing to gaze upon God." Exodus 3:6. "But now that you want to see my glory, as you said, 'Show me your glory,' I do not want to show it to you." Rabbi Yeshua ben Korha interprets Moses' initial refusal to look upon God's glory negatively as he rebuffed God's desire to be close to him. This disagrees with that which Rabbi Shmuel bar Naamani said that Rabbi Yonatan said. As Rabbi Shmuel bar Naamani said that Rabbi Yonatan said, specifically as a reward for 3 acts of humility in averting his glance at the burning bush, Moses was privileged to experience 3 great revelations. Because Moses concealed his face, fearing to gaze upon God, Exodus 3:6, he was privileged to have his countenance, kalaster, glow. Because he feared, he was privileged that they feared to approach him, Exodus 34:30. Because he did not gaze, he was privileged to behold the likeness of the Lord, Numbers 12:8. What did Moses see? It is said, "And I will remove my hand, and you will see my back. But my face you will not see." Exodus 33:23. Rav Hana bar Bizna said in the name of Rabbi Shimon Hasidah, the expression, "and you will see my back," should be understood as follows. This teaches that the Holy One, blessed be he, who, as mentioned above, wears phylacteries, showed him the knot of the phylacteries of his head, which is worn on the back of the head. On this subject, Rabbi Yohanan said, in the name of Rabbi Yosei, every statement to a person or to a nation that emerged from the mouth of the Holy One, blessed be he, with a promise of good, even if it was conditional, he did not renege on it. Ultimately, every promise made by God will be fulfilled. From where do we derive that all of God's promises are fulfilled? We know this from Moses, our teacher. As God promised and said, "Leave me alone, I will destroy them and blot out their name from under heaven, and I will make from you a nation mightier and greater than they." Deuteronomy 9:14. Even though Moses prayed to have the decree repealed, and it was nullified, the promise was fulfilled, and Moses' descendants became a nation mightier and greater than the 600,000 Israelites in the desert. As it is stated with regard to the Levites, the sons of Moses, Gershom and Eleazar, and the sons of Eleazar were Rehaviah the chief, and Eleazar had no other sons, and the sons of Rehaviah were very many. 1 Chronicles 23:15 through 17. And Rav Yosef taught in a Bereta. Many means more than 600,000. This is learned through a verbal analogy between the words many and many. It is written here with regard to Rehaviah's sons were very many. And it is written there with regard to the Israelites in Egypt. And the children of Israel became numerous, and multiplied, and were very many, and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. Exodus 1:7. Just as when the children of Israel were in Egypt, very many meant that there were 600,000 of them, so too the descendants of Rehaviah were 600,000.